Spring is here, and it's time to see the dirt fly on the Atomic Power Racing Hour. In this episode, it's the season opener for the Go Nuclear Late Model Series, featuring some invaders making the long trip in to try and dethrone the local underdog that stole the show last season. Who will win race number 1 of the 2016 season? Find out next on the Atomic Power Racing Hour. Hello and welcome to the first Atomic Power Racing Hour of the 2016 season. You know, they schedule races in April. This is always the phrase. You schedule them, you hope to get them, but you don't count on them. We got a beautiful day today here at the Utica-Rome Speedway for the first race of the season. Doug Elkins along with Rich Fleck. Rich, new cars, new pit area. This is going to be a lot of fun today.
You know, this track hosts 1 or 2 late model races a year, so it's really exciting for these drivers to get out on this racetrack. Big, wide, slick, and usually pretty fast. Should be fun to watch.
A lot of these guys, this is race number 1 of the season. Rich just talked about the racetrack. Let's find out more about it. Let's check in with our Paul Small.
The conditions at this half mile here at Utica-Rome will change dramatically throughout the evening. Early on, the bottom of the racetrack has plenty of bite. Middle, not too bad. And there's a pretty good-sized cushion at the top of the racetrack. But as the evening goes on, that cushion's going to get blown off the racing surface and this entire track will slick off from top to bottom. It becomes then a race to the bottom of the racetrack where you not only have to get the car to rotate in the center of the turn, you've got to be very careful applying the throttle so you don't spin the tires coming off the corner.
Thanks, Paul. 4th time that the series has raced here at Utica-Rome Speedway. Some of the drivers, they know this place pretty well, some not so much. The other variable here today, Rich, some of these guys, first laps of the year, maybe first laps in this year's car.
And that's really the key thing, isn't it? Maybe a driver went and shook it down in a practice session. But this is not only the first race for the Go Nuclear Late Model Tour, it's the first race in New York State for this division, which means these drivers are going to have some work to catch up, break off the rust, and maybe find that nice groove that they didn't have last year.
A lot of unknowns coming in today. Let's check in with some of the drivers and see what those unknowns might be and how they're feeling as they get ready for race number 1 of the season.
Nervous, definitely nervous. Not really sure if we've got all our ducks in a row, but we'll see what happens.
We went and shook the car down yesterday. The anticipation is just hopefully you did your homework during the winter and all the nuts and bolts are tight. We did a nut and bolt check this morning, greased her up, and hope for the best.
We worked pretty hard this year off season, and we upgraded some stuff, and we just really want to have that good solid run here, and hopefully we can pull it off.
It's finally nice to be back on the racetrack or at a racetrack. I haven't been on the track yet, but I think we got everything checked over on the race car. Everything should be good to go. Basically where we ended up last year after Weedsport and Black Rock. Just cleaned everything up, reorganized, and here we are again. So hopefully we have a good turnout.
You know, anticipation build's pretty good. We were pretty good here last year, so we were anxious to get back here again.
The first race of the 2016 season ready to go here at the Utica-Rome Speedway on the Big Half Mile.
First of 3 heat races. The big focus get into the top 3 for the redraw. Charlie Sandercock and Brandon Moat on the front row.
Greg Bellier does a lot of work behind the scenes. There's Brandon Ford, the youngster, also runs at the Fulton Speedway.
Yeah, past champion from last year, Lee Gill, also going to start in spot number 4. The top 4 were inverted based off of their time trial position. That means Lee Gill in the 125 was the fastest.
Gotcha.
The 57 of Charlie Sandercock was 4th quickest, but he gets that pole position. It doesn't matter about time anymore. 8 laps, again, looking for that top 3, and we are underway.
Sandercock, who has won a lot of races on this series since we got it started, will be the first one down on the inside, and watch Greg Bellier on the bottom of the 25.
Boy, he really made it stick, didn't he, off the bottom of turn number 2. Gets up into that number 2 spot, and a good battle on right now for 4th between Ford on the bottom, Lee Gill up on the top.
And he's going to go to the inside. Ford keeps it working on the inside, goes to the bottom of Brandon Moat and picks up position number 3.
And again, that's the critical position. Top 3, they're all going to be part of the redraw. 4th place, you're going to start 10th in the feature event. Lee Gill looking to move up a little bit more. Gill down to the bottom. He was the first ever champion of the Go Nuclear Late Models and then came back last year and won 2 races en route to the 2015 title.
And the number 4 there, Laszlo Holyfield. Oh, we've got a spin. Around goes Bellier, and the tire is flying into the woods.
And the caution will fly. Greg Bellier looked to have a very strong number 25. That's the car that Lee Gill rode to the championship. They swapped cars for this season, and a problem with the left rear brings us under yellow.
He was running in second place, was going to have a great spot. Let's see if we can catch it. Car just spins. I don't know if he broke an axle there or what happened, but there goes the tire. You can just catch it there.
Yeah, and the tire goes bounding through, and that's hard contact off the tree.
Like some of my golf shots right there, solidly into the tree. And look at Bellier, dejected as he waits for the wrecker to come. So we are under caution in the first of 3 big qualifying heats. First race of the 2016 season. You're watching the Go Nuclear Late Models. Welcome back to the Utica-Rome Speedway, race number 1 on the Atomic Power Racing Hour, featuring the Go Nuclear Late Models. That was our second place car, Greg Bellier, getting towed to the pits after losing a left rear tire. Out in front, though, a guy you know well if you've been watching this show, Charlie Sandercock in the 57.
19 wins total for the Belleville, Ontario driver last year. Had a number of wins at his hometown racetrack, the Brighton Speedway. Also scored the championship at Can-Am and won a tour race as well along the way. So 19 wins. That's the most of any driver in the field today.
And if you're new to late model racing and you're saying, why was nobody on the inside there? That's the Delaware restart, something unique to late model racing that gives the leader a bit of an advantage. Sandercock up front, but that advantage is going to be short-lived perhaps, as here comes the 125 of Lee Gill.
Boy, Lee Gill was struggling before that caution, now has it figured out, and rim riding up on the top of the speedway. With these cars, momentum is king, and right now the 125 has it as he pressures Charlie Sandercock. The last 2 champions battle into 1 and 2.
Down to the inside goes Gill, did not get the run. You see the car push up on him a little bit. Sandercock might be in the preferred groove right now.
Yeah, it's hard to tell. He started out in front. He might not be aware what line is going to be the best, as these drivers didn't have a heat race before this to look out for. Now the battle for 3rd, 4th, and 5th, it's a good one. Brandon Ford has it, and then there's Brandon Mowat and Laszlo Holyfield battling it out for 4th.
Those 3 cars, only 2 will qualify. Back up front now, here goes Gill, back down to the inside. Cannot make it work as we race here on lap number 4, and there he goes to the inside. Classic slide job.
Oh, classic is right. He throws it in there, but he's got to make it stick. He does off the corner. Lee Gill has put himself out in front of the field, but Sandercock will fight back. Hard down to the inside of the racetrack, try his own slide job, unable to do so, and Gill is back into the number 1 spot.
That's what you do when somebody slide jobs you. What do? You try to get him right back with the same move. Didn't work. Chris Fleming down in the infield. It looks like we're going to stay green, though.
Yeah, it looks like we'll keep it going. Fleming, the great rookie season last year, winning the track championship at Fulton, looking for better results on tour, and he is, as you said, still going, and we stay green. But Laszlo Holyfield, the driver that is a part-time competitor, with a nice move down on the bottom ribbon of the racetrack to try to get by Brandon Ford. New car number for Ford back into the 18. We saw him in the 76 late model last year.
Yeah, last year Ford was splitting time between sportsman and late model. This year he's going to be concentrating primarily on the late model. You know what they say, Rich, it's tough to serve 2 masters, and he's hoping he can get some better results driving just the late model.
And we're seeing that right now up on the top. Laszlo Holyfield, driver that, as we said, is a part-time competitor and a teammate to A.J. Kingsley. Kingsley's on vacation this weekend, so it's just that one car being served out of the operation. Final time around for Lee Gill. Overcooked it a little bit in the corner.
Yes,
does it again in 2.
He pushed a little bit through the middle of that as well. But the thing is, there's no rear view mirrors in these cars. There's no radios. So as far as he knows, Charlie Sandercock could be right on his back bumper. So, you got to push it as much as you can. But a comfortable lead for Gill, as he will get the win in heat number 1.
Drives away from Charlie Sandercock, but the 57 will still make the redraw. Same story for the 3rd place finisher, and again, a little bit further back, Laszlo Holyfield able to get into the top 9 redraw.
How strong was Lee Gill, though, to pull away for a 3-second win? Let's send it over to Paul and find out what's going on with Lee Gill's car owner, Greg Bellier.
Well, this is what happened to Greg Bellier's car during his heat race. This whole hub assembly busted. You can see where some of the points are sheared clean off here. Now, he went down pit road, borrowed a hub from Phil Potts, and borrowed some bearings from Charlie Sandercock. So the team is at work right now putting that new assembly together to get Greg out for tonight's feature.
Let's hope he's able to fix that and get back out on the racetrack. Qualifying heat number 2 on the track. A couple of former modified racers, including newcomer Chad Homan, on the front row for this one. Homan's in the 91.
Yeah, Johnny Hill going to start on the pole position. Then you got some Southern Tier drivers in row number 2, John Waters and Bryce Davis. Again, they were the 2 quickest in this time trial. And actually, Waters, his lap of 19.985 in the time trial is the fastest of any driver thus far today. Canadian competitors fill out the final 3 spots. Sam Panaccio, Kyle Sopaz, and Brian Down as we are underway into turn number 1.
3 wide. Davis tries to shove it through the middle, and Homan's going to go around.
Chad Homan spins and keeps it going for the moment. That is a kind of a runoff area here at Utica-Rome. Tries to keep it moving. Looks like the yellow flag will fly, though, as the lap is completed. Homan, a driver that has been around the big block modifieds, a little bit of micro sprints as well, makes the transition and doing pretty well here, Doug.
Actually did a lot of go-kart racing the past off season. Let's see what Bryce Davis sees here on the restart as this deal happened down in turn number 1.
Well, definitely tight getting into turn number 1 for all 3 of those competitors. Hard to tell if contact was made, though.
Really was, you know. I mean, let's look at it from here.
Still can't tell.
Yeah, you're right. I still can't tell. Boy, he did a good job dodging him there, though. As Holman fortunately kept going to the right and off the racetrack. Fortunate for Bryce Davis, we're saying here. So 1 lap complete. They did score that lap. There's the Delaware restart with Johnny Hill alone in the front row.
And again, he will be able to command this field back to green, the Rocket Racer out of Hastings, New York, with a couple of drivers that have done well at Humberstone. John Waters on the inside won a tour race there, and the hometown driver from Southern Ontario, the 311 of Sam Panaccio, made the long trip down the thruway to be here today, and he jumps into the race lead on the outside here for the first time.
Hill, a former motocross racer, now falls back to 3rd. Actually ran IMCA modifieds for a while, but it's Waters who's flowing through the middle right now and up to the number 1 spot.
Yeah, John Waters really knows how to get around this racetrack, drives down to the inside, and he will lead lap number 2.
And Panaccio now up to position number 2, Johnny Hill in 3rd, and look at Bryce Davis. He likes the outside. That's where he started this qualifier, and boy, did he get a run that time out of turn 2.
Absolutely did, up on the top of the racetrack, and seems to be a driver that when the track is fast really likes it. He says he likes slick tracks, so this track was made for him.
But he's up on the cushion there. That's where the bite is right now. But hey, just because you like a particular groove doesn't mean if that's not the fast place to be. You've got to be adaptive enough as a driver to get up where you need to go. And Panaccio really impressed with him in that 311 running in 3rd spot.
Now, 2 years ago, the race here at Utica-Rome, Waters was 5th, 1 spot behind Davis, who was 4th. Last year, Waters was 6th, 1 spot behind Davis, who was 5th. This time, Waters leads him by 1 spot. Will it last?
Well, Davis is hoping things turn out a little differently this time. Hey, how about Chad Homan making his way up from the back now, trying to get into a qualifying spot here?
Running down on the bottom of the Speedway. Hill had drifted up just a little bit. Again, all the drivers going to start the feature, but that top 3, so vitally important. Down to the inside for 4th. Holman's down there, and Hill drives across the nose of the 91.
Bryce Davis, that's the race leader you see right out in front of him. Love those shots when the clay gets flying. And he is definitely closing the gap on Waters here with 3 to go.
Well, we say it so many times. No radios, no rearview mirrors. Waters kind of unaware of Davis closing in, and he feels pretty confident on the bottom, but Davis is pounding up on the top of the Speedway.
Boy, and you can see what it's like to drive that cushion. Oh, he got it a little sideways that time. That cost him some momentum, but still able to stay with Waters. That shows you how good that top is.
Exactly, and what can he do with it here? Kind of sizes him up midway down the back straightaway, goes to the top, gets it sideways, but hooks the cushion, keeps the momentum built up as the white flag is out.
And no, that's not blocking. That's the line you run here at Utica-Rome. You drive right under the flagger's toes, and here goes Davis to the outside. Perfect time to do it on the last lap.
Waters probably said, where'd he come from? Well, the driver out of Canasteel looking pretty good as they both made some significant trips to be here today, and Davis will score the heat race win. Davis gets Waters by a spot again.
And almost by a second there in the end, so he really cut a nice lap there on the final lap. There's 3rd, Panaccio. He gets a qualifying spot, and Chad Homan ends up getting by Johnny Hill for the final qualifying position. Homan, another one of those former modified racers, just got going this year. He was running big blocks at Canandaigua at this time last year. We are 2/3 of the way through the qualifying heat. Still a lot more to go. You're watching the Atomic Power Racing Hour.
Magic. That's what music can bring to your life. And that's why we at Tenacious Sound focus on providing personal service and the highest quality products tailored to your needs and taste. Headphones, turntables, wireless systems, speakers, home theaters that exceed the best out there. We have it all. Let us demonstrate how much more performance, enjoyment, and value experience can bring to you. Your music, your ears, your choice. Tenacious Sound, Armory Square, Syracuse. TenaciousSound.com.
Electricity. You flip a switch, the lights go on. But will we have safe supplies of electricity to meet our fast-growing needs? Today, nuclear energy provides 1/5 of America's electricity. Tomorrow, it could supply even more. And nuclear power plants don't emit greenhouse gases, so they preserve our environment. We need to reduce our dependence on foreign energy. And we also need clean air. With nuclear energy, we can do both. Nuclear, putting clean air energy to work.
The Go Nuclear Late Model Challenge Series is presented by Excel Tower Service, Adam Naylor Plumbing, Humber Nurseries, Dibbits Excavating, B-Tech Concrete and Construction, Laguna, Gillies Napa, Deerhaven Victory, BA Custom Headers, Bellevue Fabricating, C. Smith Automotive Machine Shop, Gullivan International, Superior Crane, Scott Jeffries Performance, and Tenacious Sound.
The third and final heat race for the Go Nuclear Late Models is about to get underway here at Utica-Rome Speedway. It's the track that pole sitter Brett Belden calls home and, as he explained to our Paul Small earlier, holds a special place in his heart.
If there's one driver at this race tonight that has more laps here at Utica-Rome than anybody else, it's probably this guy, Brett Belden. How special would it be for you to win a Go Nuclear Late Model race at a track that's been your home for ever?
Well, that would be awesome. I think this place owes us one. We ran really well here with the Pro Stocks, but the last 3 times here with the Go Nuclear Series, it was just something with the car, a mishap, or the setup was off a little bit. So it would be pretty special because last year at this time we set fast time in our group there, and my wife said the fans were pretty happy about that, but now we just got to produce in the feature.
This is only the second race of the year on this racetrack. How do you think it's going to behave tonight?
I don't know. I come up and watched the opener last week because my wife works here, and Roger Who's doing the track again. Dan Harpel did it before, and Roger's back doing it. So it looked like it kept a cushion up on top and a little bit of bite on the bottom. So it might be a whole different race tonight.
It might just be that. There's Belden on the pole. New car for him this year. And Brian Knowles, I love this hometown painted post.
Phil Potts and Brian's brother Jason in row number 2. See Aaron Jacobs, the winner of this event last year. He's on the inside, and the guy that finished second to him in the Gnome Cup race, the 18 of Billy Isley, still doesn't have the decals on the left side of his black race car, but no doubt will be a force in this one. Again, 8 laps, top 3 make the redraw, and the black race cars lead him into turn number 1 with Pork Chop going into the race lead. That's Brian Knowles in the 7.
I asked him about that one time. He said he worked at a friend's shop, but they always had pork chops about the time of dinner, so next thing you know, that just became his nickname, and he is out front. And that black race car, Rich, so typical of a lot of cars you see at this time of the year. The graphics guy might got a little backed up. Maybe we got the body together late, but we're on the racetrack and having fun as we work lap number 2.
Single file down the straightaway, and then they pick their lines through turns number 1 and 2. Jason Knowles down on the bottom. The Jet going after the 7 of his brother, Brian Knowles, with Brett Belden stuck right in the middle trying to figure out where to go.
This is what we like right here. Like to see a pair of brothers out in front. The 4 down on the inside. That's Jason. He's in the lead after 3 laps complete. Oh, and yellow flag is flying.
Yeah, the caution out. Norm Mayhew comes around in the 60. And we'll send it to the pits right now with Paul on a rule change that is coming in 2016.
A little bit of a change in the restart format this year for the Go Nuclear Late Model Series is illustrated on this board. Now, the late models use what's called a Delaware-style restart. That means the leader will start on the front row by himself. The rest of the field is double file. Here's where the change comes in this year. The second place car will have lane choice on a restart. They can either line up inside or outside. If they go to the outside, third place goes to the inside. The remainder of the field stays in order.
I kind of like that change. Gives the second place driver a little bit of an advantage as well. But, of course, the main thing is they want the leader to have a better choice of where he can go. And that is kind of how the Delaware restart started.
I think one of the most fair ways of doing a restart that you can have in any form of motorsports is we get it back underway. Fair and competitive, that is. And look at Brian Knowles kind of time up his brother. Knew what he was going to do. Goes to the outside of the racetrack. Phil Potts and Billy Isley with good starts as well. Potts in the 29. Looks to the outside of the racetrack. And then that black car on the left side is Billy Isley as he drives down hard to the bottom.
Billy Isley, a competitor in the North Country, ran Sportsman up at Can-Am for a long time before making the move to late models, but right about the time that Can-Am actually introduced the class as well. That's second, third, and fourth, and fifth there with Belden in the shot in the 81.
Yeah, right down to the bottom again goes Isley. Look at Phil Potts. Potts around the outside,
Nice move.
3 wide, makes the move, does the Canadian competitor. He's been here in the past, but not every time, as it can be difficult for them to come down on a Sunday afternoon all the way from Northern Ontario.
And Brian Knowles goes from second to fourth in the blink of an eye, and that's sometimes what happens when you run that middle groove. But look at now, we've got a battle for third as Knowles comes back to the inside.
Again, the third place battle, the final spot into the redraw. That could be worth a pole starting position, and Billy Isley able to get himself into that spot provisionally. And now it'll be a process for Brian Knowles and Brett Belden and Aaron Jacobs to fight back with just 3 more laps left to go.
Here's the battle for the lead now as Phil Potts has run down Jason Knowles. Same move we saw him make earlier. He just drives right around him on the outside. Knowles comes back again, though, on the inside. You can see up the track there goes the 29 using that cushion that Brett Belden was talking about. And if you can get your car set up right and run on that cushion, you can charge the corners and be very, very aggressive.
Doug, we saw it in the earlier heat races. The driver in second place has that advantage to run and find where the track is fast without the leader knowing that. And we just saw it once again as Phil Potts puts himself into the race lead, coming to the white flag. He looks good. So does Billy Isley, but Brian Knowles starting to chase down that number 18 here on the final circuit.
And Brett Belden was hoping to have a good run. Well, he sits back in position number 5, so he is on the outside looking in right now. There's your race leader all alone out in front, the 29 of Phil Potts. If he can get her out of turn 4, he will win the final qualifier.
Oh, he's got it. He easily scores the win. And second place will be Jason Knowles. Third in the redraw, Billy Isley. And then starting straight up will be Brian Knowles, Brett Belden, Aaron Jacobs, and Norm Mayhew.
Let's learn more about these cars. Let's check in with Paul for our Tech Minute.
Shocks and suspensions have been a big topic of discussion off-season in late model racing. Many of the major late model racing organizations have outlawed multi-position shocks and multiple shocks on a race car. But here's one little trick that you won't see from the racetrack that some drivers are using. Now, this is the right rear corner of the Knowles number 4 car, and if you look, you see the big coil spring here, but then you see a second spring before the collar on the shock. Now, that secondary spring serves one simple purpose. It takes up the room between the collar and the cup at the bottom of the suspension piece where the shock mounts. That way, if the car goes over a bump or when the suspension loads or unloads, it keeps this main spring in place so it doesn't jump off the cup, because if it jumps off, all of a sudden, you've got a broken right rear suspension.
Well, drivers are not just working on their own race cars. That's former champion Charlie Sandercock just a moment ago, helping a local Sportsman driver he hardly even knows change a tire during their heat races. He's back to work on his car now, though, as he prepares for the 30-lap feature event, which is coming up right after this break. Don't go anywhere.
Sick of staticky headphones you bought at the dollar store? Come to your senses and enjoy music once again. At Sense, we recognize that not one size fits all. It's your music. Sense believes it should be your choice in how to listen to it. Enjoy crystal clear audio with comfortable and fresh styles that suit you. Don't conform to the norm. Get what you want and listen with your senses.
Magic. That's what music can bring to your life. And that's why we at Tenacious Sound focus on providing personal service and the highest quality products tailored to your needs and taste. Headphones, turntables, wireless systems, speakers, home theaters that exceed the best out there. We have it all. Let us demonstrate how much more performance, enjoyment, and value experience can bring to you. Your music, your ears, your choice. Tenacious Sound, Armory Square, Syracuse. TenaciousSound.com.
Cars are rolling onto the track in anticipation of the 30-lap Go Nuclear Late Model Series season opener. Just a moment ago, our Paul Small was on the surface to provide one last report before the green flag drops.
Here's the $64,000 question for tonight's Go Nuclear Late Model Series feature. How long will the top of the racetrack last? The top was the fast lane around during the heat races, but the cushion has pushed up the racetrack. Not much bite in the middle, a little bit on the very bottom if you can get your left rear on it. A lot of drivers are probably going to set up to run the top, but once this blows off and goes away, you're going to see everybody moving up and down the racetrack looking for bite.
That is true. There were 4 other divisions in competition here today, so this is not the racetrack that you saw earlier today in the qualifying heat races. Most of the cars are pitted over right behind turn 2, so the guys have had a good look at the racetrack all along, and we get a good look out the front of Bryce Davis's car as he gets ready for the restart and waves to the fans.
Waving on the fans with the first 4-wide salute of the season. And you talked about the racetrack not being what they saw in the heat race, but it's also not the typical Utica-Rome slick track that we're seeing. It is slick. There will be a top and there will be a bottom, but it's not that midsummer ice that you might see.
That's true. Come back later in the year, and you will see that.
Right.
30 laps, 22 cars will take the green. $1,000 goes to the winner. Restarts are that Delaware double file, like Paul told us about a little earlier. So the field is set. 22 cars ready to take the green, and what for like most of these guys is not even just their first race, but first time on the racetrack. Laszlo Holyfield, he will start on the front row,
along with Jason Knowles, who has the pole position. Again, the top 9 drivers based off of the redraw process. Charlie Sandercock got the worst of that. He starts back in 9th with some other champions a little bit further back as well. So you're going to see some drivers coming through the field. Some good newcomers like Brett Belden and Chris Fleming in row number 8. A few Canadian competitors like Greg Bellier, who was fast in his heat race. And then last year's winner, Aaron Jacobs, all the way back in 21st. Maybe not the same race car up to the performance he wants. He said he just rolled the car out of the trailer today from the last race in October at Weedsport.
And, of course, last year he had a little bit of help from somebody who knows a few things about those cars. Josh Richards was in town and actually helped him get a setup. The Roll of Outlaws were in town, and that setup got him the victory. Green flag is out. Race number 1 for the Go Nuclear Late Models at Utica-Rome.
And up on the top of the racetrack, Laszlo Holyfield will try to make it sick, but he pushes the nose. Here comes Lee Gill down to the inside in the 125, going after the other 3-digit car and got sideways with Sam Panaccio. And Billy Isley, the black 18, up to the top, looking for 4th.
Lee Gill looking out the front as he thinks about the inside of the Speedway coming out of turn number 4.
And more contact there between a pair of Lafargeville drivers in Lee Gill and Billy Isley. And Isley going to slam the door shut on the 57 of Charlie Sandercock. Bryce Davis makes contact in his own right with Isley. Isley getting knocked around like a pinball right now.
Wow, got the roof support and everything. That was some pretty good contact. But, of course, the quarter panels on the back of these late models, there's supports that hold them in place. There's supposed to be some give there. So,
and it definitely did. They gave a lot right there as the race stretches out. Jason Knowles still our leader, and now the battle shaping up down to the bottom for 3rd place. Sam Panaccio here for the first time. Canadian competitor in the 311 with Lee Gill trying to keep it smooth and steady on the outside, and he's going after Laszlo Holyfield on the outside.
Look at this battle shaping up right here. Holyfield down on the inside, right up next to that wall on the front straightaway, using the outside, pretty much the same groove he used in his qualifier.
Yep, exactly, and the track will change over the course of the feature. Paul talked about that. Right now, Lee Gill keeping the momentum up on the top of the Speedway. He's into 2nd.
That is the one thing about dirt track racing versus asphalt. You can be in a groove for a little while. It can go away. It can even come back a little bit later on as we watch this action off of turn number 4. Sam Panaccio, I got to tell you, if I'm looking at his background, I am very impressed with how quickly he has picked up these late models. That's Panaccio in the 311.
Some had that 3rd place at Oshweekend last year. That came out of nowhere. This is a track you got to know a little bit to know how to get around it. It's slick. It's a lot different than his hometown Humberstone Speedway that you could put 2 of these racetracks, or 2 Humberstones into this one racetrack. But Bryce Davis is pretty quick. Started a little bit further back on the start. The driver out of Canisteo, New York, that won his heat race, coming from the 7th position, now to the outside. A little mud on the camera, but no worse for wear. And it's a good 3-car fracas in a turn number 3 for 3rd.
And Laszlo Holyfield, let's give him some props here, too. A guy who does not run, I don't even think he runs maybe a quarter of the races in this series. Yeah, maybe at the most. And he's hanging in there with some guys who run all the time. Down on the bottom, though, he looks like he's married to that lane. And Panaccio, he might have to get off the bottom if he's going to go by him, because I don't think Holyfield's going to give it up. Oh, trouble on the front stretch. That's Brandon Ford. The black and red car. Aaron Jacobs spins in after the fact. I can't tell. Oh, that's Sopaz down on the inside. So 2 cars get together, and then the spin to avoid there by Jacobs. We are under yellow for the first time in the feature, and we're going to look back at Aaron's big win last year. Meanwhile, Aaron Jacobs, he's got the race lead.
Aaron Jacobs into the race lead, a guy that is a low-dollar racer, brought both his sportsman and his late model here to the local track, but has struggled to get things going. He's into the race lead in front of his hometown fans. Said he had a good car for the feature? I guess so. How about this one, Doug?
Wow, coming out of turn number 4, the upset special here today at Utica-Rome, pumping his fist out the window. Aaron Jacobs with a surprising win. Jacobs will have to do some work today if he wants to have that celebration down in Victory Lane. Again, 7 laps complete of the 30-lap season opener for the Go Nuclear late models as Jason Knowles is in the front on the Delaware restart. Bryce Davis, where he's pretty much like to be all day, right on the outside part of the racetrack.
First 3 drivers all had a win on tour last year. Who's going to get the first one here of 2016? Knowles with a good restart, and he pulls out in front, goes down to the bottom to block, and there's Davis down to the bottom, Doug.
Yeah, they swapped lines that time, he and Lee Gill. And look who's on the bottom, John Waters. He was fast in his qualifier, and he's going to take over maybe 3rd place here.
Well, that car can really rotate through, entering the corner. Seems to be doing that better. And how about Lee Gill? That car's violent, and he's going to take the lead.
Man, that thing looked like he was about ready to spin out, and somehow he passes, makes the pass for the lead, gets around Porkchop, and look at Davis. There he is, back up to the outside, and Waters. Wow, what is going on with the 4 of Knowles?
Lost a lot of speed there. Looks like all the tires are up, at least on the left side. So you wonder maybe if something underneath the hood of the number 4 of Jason Knowles. So he's back to 5th, and you got the 3 heat winners up on the top of the racetrack now in 1st, 2nd, and 4th. We'll make it 1st, 3rd, and 4th because John Waters didn't win his heat, but he's staying true to the bottom.
And Knowles hanging in there right there. Here is Bryce Davis. He's running in 3rd, so that's the top 2 cars right in front of him. You can see Gill going way down on the inside part of the track, trying to run him down.
Now Lee Gill still hanging in that race lead. John Waters in 2nd, trying to make the bottom line come in. And it's working. He's there. Waters on the inside. Gill up top, side by side for the race lead.
Driver from the North Country, another one from a little south of here. Waters trying to get down to the inside as Davis watches that battle taking place in front of him. Oh, and yellow flag is out.
Caution down on the other side of the speedway as Norm Mayhew in the 60 has spun around yet again out of Ontario and brings us back under yellow.
We are under caution just about a 1/3 of the way through our first race of the season. We'll be back with more right after this.
Electricity. You flip a switch, the lights go on. But will we have safe supplies of electricity to meet our fast-growing needs? Today, nuclear energy provides 1/5 of America's electricity. Tomorrow, it could supply even more. And nuclear power plants don't emit greenhouse gases, so they preserve our environment. We need to reduce our dependence on foreign energy. And we also need clean air. With nuclear energy, we can do both. Nuclear, putting clean air energy to work.
Magic. That's what music can bring to your life. And that's why we at Tenacious Sound focus on providing personal service and the highest quality products tailored to your needs and taste. Headphones, turntables, wireless systems, speakers, home theaters that exceed the best out there. We have it all. Let us demonstrate how much more performance, enjoyment, and value experience can bring to you. Your music, your ears, your choice. Tenacious Sound, Army Square, Syracuse. TenaciousSound.com.
Welcome back to the Atomic Power Racing Hour, race number 1 of the 2016 season here at the Utica-Rome Speedway, featuring, as always, well, not always, but most of the time, the Go Nuclear Late Model Series. Like we said, Lee Gill out in front, John Waters in 2nd, Bryce Davis, that's your 3rd place car, and we've seen this shot before. Him on the outside as they bunch up, and now they're back on the gas, and the green is out.
Contact with John Waters. They scramble back in the pack, and Jason Knowles is back after it. After falling back to 5th, the white, blue, and orange 4 down on the inside of the racetrack trying to regain some of his glory and gets a pretty good run there. So does John Waters as he goes for 2nd.
You know, you have to wonder sometimes, you get out of the groove and maybe you spin the tires or something and it takes you a lap to gather it back up. Maybe it was just that simple for Knowles. Here is Davis going for 2nd place to the outside of Waters.
You got to feel that maybe, not right now, but at the end of this night, they're going to have a pretty good smile on their face for the way they are racing this thing right now. some of the fastest laps they turn all season right here at Utica-Rome, and it is wild to see in turn number 3.
And you can tell these cars are working. See how that left rear tries to drive up right under the driver's seat. That's how you know you're getting the bite and doing everything you can. Bryce Davis has to pull in line now in position number 3 as the top may be going away a little bit for him, but not for race leader Lee Gill.
And that's the key thing. Right off at turn number 2, Gill's good all the way through the middle of 1 into the start of 2, but off the edge of 2, that's where Waters has been quicker. Turn number 4 right now, it's still advantage top side of the racetrack, so Gill hangs on. But again, we watch them as they go into turn number 1 and 2 here. Gill set it up on the cushion. Waters will remain even. And then how good is he off at turn number 2? Looks like he got the car pointed straight, did the 125 a little bit earlier, and that helped him regain the lead.
Yeah, because when you looked at him...
he pushed up, though.
Oh, that big push right there, and here's the slide job. And he's
impressive.
Got the lead, but will he keep it?
Waters is now going to have to try a different line, or will he chop the nose? He drives back down to the inside, and we have a new race leader in John Waters. And, it's interesting, Doug. Waters, I can't believe that he saw Lee Gill push like that to know that he could complete a slide job as he did.
And then right down there in turn number 1, you could see Gill had to lift a little bit or get in the back of him. Oh, look at this. Hornet's nest for 6th place right here.
Absolutely. Laszlo Holyfield leading the group in the white 4. Brandon Moat on the inside.
Out.
First time we've called Charlie Sandercock's name, the champion back in 2014, up on the top of the racetrack. He's trying to rim ride right now around Jason Knowles, and Chris Fleming moving up from deep in the pack. Fleming started back in 16th. Did the driver of the number 10. Something may be off a little bit on the 4 of Knowles.
Yeah, I thought I saw some sparks come off the car that time as he came out of turn number 2. 9th place is the battle we're watching now. Knowles in the 4, Fleming in the 10, and Brian Knowles in the number 7.
Now that's Porkchop in the number 7. Peeks down to the inside of his brother. We saw that in the heat race, but they're a little bit further back than they would want to be, duking it out for the final spot in the top 10. And again, Knowles just seeming to lose power as they go into turn number 3. And the field starts to pull away from him. The early race leader is off the pace in turn number 4.
Oh, no. Jason Knowles has broken, and we are under caution. We were wondering what was going on. We saw sparks from that car 2 laps ago, and, of course, remember earlier when he went from 1st to 4th. So something that had been rearing its ugly head now becomes the main issue as Knowles will head to the pit area. Earlier, we talked to Jason, and he told us what it would be like to start the season with a win here in the opener.
Yeah, it's to get a win at the beginning of the year. It sets the standard for the whole team, and you get that monkey off your back and the attitude that I can do it, so it just carries you through.
Jason Knowles, one of those guys you and I were just talking, Rich, you want to have him over your barbecue, have a couple of cold ones with him, but hopefully he'll be able to figure out what went wrong on that car and maybe get back out.
And it may not be as much mechanical as maybe they missed something on the tire compound. We see that in larger distance late model races. They may have missed it with their tire setup and said, you know what, we need to stop because we are going backwards and we have to kind of draw the caution to make something happen. Totally speculated on that, but he is able to get back out on the racetrack as we get back underway. Kind of half a lap behind the field, but maybe can do something with it as they rumble into turn number 1 and 2. Waters your leader, Lee Gill down on the bottom, and here goes Bryce Davis around and into second.
A lot of times the thought is if you're already on your way to the back, maybe it's better to pit, start from the back, and then maybe get a top 10 out of the deal. We're watching 3rd place there, Panaccio down on the inside in that 3:11, trying to take the spot away here as they work almost 11 laps to go now.
Sam Panaccio, impressed? Yes. This is something to see in that 3:11. Down on the bottom of the speedway, makes it stick.
Look at this.
And boy, that was a smooth line. And I tell you what, as this track starts to go away on the top, the only other guy running the bottom is the leader, John Waters. Panaccio may be able to get himself up to second as Gill's car still very unsettled on the top of 3 and 4. It's violent as the caution is out. Brian Down has spun to the inside of turn number 2, and we're back under yellow.
Not what Panaccio wanted to see there because he was sizing up 2nd place right there. We are 2/3 of the way through the season opener here at the Utica-Rome Speedway. We'll be back with more on the Atomic Power Racing Hour.
Sick of staticky headphones you bought at the dollar store? Come to your senses and enjoy music once again. At Sense, we recognize that not one size fits all. It's your music. Sense believes it should be your choice in how to listen to it. Enjoy crystal clear audio with comfortable and fresh styles that suit you. Don't conform to the norm. Get what you want and listen with your senses.
Magic. That's what music can bring to your life. And that's why we at Tenacious Sound focus on providing personal service and the highest quality products tailored to your needs and taste. Headphones, turntables, wireless systems, speakers, home theaters that exceed the best out there. We have it all. Let us demonstrate how much more performance, enjoyment, and value experience can bring to you. Your music, your ears, your choice. Tenacious Sound, Army Square, Syracuse. TenaciousSound.com.
Welcome back to Utica-Rome Speedway. We are 11 laps left to go here in the season opener for the Go Nuclear late models. John Waters out in front in the 11. Bryce Davis has been in second for a while in the 94, but the guy on the move is Sam Panaccio, the 311, who is just to the left side of what you're seeing right now. The bottom is coming in. Top may be going away. We'll find out.
Contact between Davis and Waters, but it looks like Waters will be able to get the best of them, pull back out to a steady advantage. So what can Panaccio do in his preferred bottom groove? Looks like he overcooked the corner just a little bit, and Lee Gill may have seen what Panaccio was doing and drives back hard to the inside and gets the third again.
Because Panaccio just passed Lee Gill using basically that same move, and what does a smart driver do? They go back to the lane and somebody passed them in, and Panaccio right on Gill that time, and Gill's going for second spot.
Yeah, Lee Gill, you don't have to show him what to do more than once. He'll figure it out, puts his Gillies Napa number 125 to the bottom. Davis back into second. Here's Phil Potts' name back into the mix, and Brandon Moat and Charlie Sandercock adding to the Canadian contingent in the top 7.
Got to give Panaccio a lot of credit there. There was some contact. He could have hit the brakes, and that would have cost him a lot of ground, but he was able to maintain that position and still runs in position number 4, although he does have company on the outside. There he goes again. Looks like we just saw this the last lap.
Absolutely. He knows where the good line is. He just made a bad restart and is trying to make up for it. And Lee Gill's got a decent race car underneath Bryce Davis in the 94. Davis, a driver there. I remember him running his Bandit car at Blackrock. Came in on a one-off and won the Bandit race. And he was like, who's this kid? And those cars are going about 60. These guys are going twice that speed into the corners right now. But in the corners, tippy-toeing, making sure that they can keep the momentum up. And right now, it's the 94 able to hold off Gill, but is Gill going to try the slide job?
And in case you're wondering, Bandits are little 4-cylinders, so for a guy like this to come in there, he's going to obviously drive the wheels off it. Gill down the inside, doesn't have it just yet.
No, 7 more laps figure it out. John Waters and crew have to be loving this one right now as it is all side by side. Looks like a stretched out Delaware restart. You got a car out front and then double file all the way back.
And one guy who's sitting here hoping maybe something might happen in front of him is Phil Potts. We've seen his number 29 in the shot there a couple of times, and if anything happens here in this battle for second, he could cruise right up there and have a shot at this thing.
Lap traffic going to factor in. That green car is a lap down and Brian down, and the yellow flag is going to come out. Brett Belden is stopped on the backstretch. The local favorite from West Edmonton stopped, and they felt he wasn't out of harm's way.
And look at that front of the car. Earlier we asked Brett and some of the other drivers about how to get around tracks like this, and our question of the hour.
What does a driver have to do to be better at a track like this that tends to slick off?
I believe it's a little more finesse. When you don't have control of the car, when it's slippery like that, you got to be easier on the gas and easier on the brake pedal when you're getting into the turn, setting it in.
Patience. You got to be patient with yourself, with the track, the car. You just really got to just feel things out, and and then you can go from there and see where you can push it or where you got to back off a little bit.
Momentum, patience, throttle control, just kind of keep the car moving, try not to buzz the wheels, and keep going forward.
Be easy on the gas, get the car settled down in the corner, not don't get too carried away with it.
You need to be real smooth on the throttle. A lot of guys are out there wide open. You need to enter and get through the corners pretty smooth.
Smooth is the word, light on the right foot, and don't be too aggressive. That's one thing that's very easy to do in any car on a dirt track is to overdrive. You overdrive, you have problems.
Especially here at Utica-Rome, where sprint car driver Mike Stelter once told me I was driving on eggshells.
I like that right there. You put the egg under your right foot. Yep. Don't break the egg. Green flag is back out. Just 6 laps to go here in the 30-lap season opener for the Go Nuclear late models.
Down to the bottom again goes Lee Gill. We saw what he was able to do on the last restart down on that inside, but Davis going to hold true on the top of the racetrack. Boy, Lee Gill's car still fighting him a little bit, as he has only driven this car one other time before tonight. still trying to sort it out. Again, Greg Bellier, his car owner, had that car for most of the year, and he's back to third.
And what was Lee Gill saying about taking it easy on the gas? It looked like he was doing so that time. Down to the inside once again. But Davis, I think because he's running the outside, can pick up the throttle easier, but didn't look that way this time, or a little earlier, excuse me.
How about this battle, though, Doug? This is great to see, and they're both reeling in John Waters for the race lead.
Yeah, and usually when you get two people side by side, they're not able to use the preferred line, that perfect line where you can drive all the way out, but he's not driving away. If anything, I think they're catching him here. Gill got a better run that time off the bottom, may have second, and as I say that, here comes Davis right back again.
You know, and the interesting thing with leader Waters in the 11, he got the lead by running the bottom. Now he's trying to search up for the top, and it's starting to go away. I really wonder if one of these guys could break into second, if they could go run down the leader with 3 laps left to go. And how about Sam Panaccio getting back into the mix in the 311?
Again, very impressed with what he's been able to do. I don't know, did Gill maybe buzz his tires here or something, or maybe his tires are gone. But Panaccio down on the inside trying for third. And as for the leader looking around, a lot of times when you're out in front, you don't know where the fast groove is. You can't stay married to your groove. You got to look around because sometimes it can be a disadvantage.
This very similar to what happened with Lee Gill last year. Led early, we saw Aaron Jacobs in that flashback get the lead. Gill in the final few laps fell from second back to fourth, and that's where he sits here with a lap and a half remaining. But Bryce Davis, this is what we talked about. Oh, and the yellow flag is going to fly. Brandon Ford and I believe Chad Holman with an issue in turn number 1, and that'll bring out the yellow yet again and set up a 2-lap dash to the finish. Squeeze up the field, Doug, but also Bryce Davis had a lot of momentum built up. I'm not sure he wanted to see that yellow.
I agree with you 100% because it seems like Bryce Davis needs a little time. Lee Gill, like we said, slipped back to fourth earlier. We asked him, how did you end up getting the championship back in 2015?
Had a good group of guys last year. It was good. We don't usually get around to a bunch of different tracks, and didn't have any mechanical issues, and everything went good.
That's about it. That'll get you a championship right there because all it takes is a couple of 21st and 22nds, and there goes your chance for a championship right there.
Yeah, but he did win 2 feature races and was right up front. I mean, you know, when you have one of the best cars, like he said, didn't have any mechanical issues. So if you're going to win and finish in the top 5 every race, it's going to be tough to knock you off the championship podium. He won the championship last year, and he also won it the first season that the Go Nuclear late models were in competition. But they only ran 4 races that year, and I think he won 3 of them. So
that'll do it. Better. Then you can get that 22nd and probably still win the championship there. This race here, though, is far from over. John Waters in the front. That's the black and yellow 11. He's been under control. Davis was gaining on him in the last green flag run we had, and Panaccio just snuck by the 125 of Gill for third. So it could be anybody's race with 2 to go.
Interesting line by Waters there. Up on the top of the racetrack, then drives down, crosses off the bottom of turn number 4. Seems to give him a little bit more momentum. He gets out to a solid advantage, 3-4 car lengths now, and there's Panaccio for second.
And look who's sneaking in on the top side behind them. Charlie Sandercock. We haven't mentioned him much today, but Sandercock's now up to position number 5, watching that, well, actually pretty much a 3-car battle for second. Boy, Gill's car doing something evil there in turn 4.
And here's Bryce Davis able to get back to second, but now 8 car lengths back on the final lap. And again, I think that caution was the final opportunity that Davis had to get the win. He needed that race to go to green. Panaccio going for second. Meanwhile, it's all John Waters leading into turn number 3.
Car's working great. You can see it running through the middle. Let it drift up to the cushion. Grab a little bit of bite there. He will get the win. Down in second place. Who's going to get second place? It's Bryce Davis.
For Panaccio, Gill, Sandercock, your top 5. Hard fought all the way through. John Waters made it work to get the lead on the bottom, then moved up to the top, and still was able to hold everybody off by over a second.
Well, that was a good race there, and a nice job out front for John Waters. He gets the win. We'll be back with more from Utica-Rome on the Atomic Power Racing Hour.
Well, it was a night that a lot of drivers were racing up top. John Waters, you got it done racing the bottom in the early part.
Yeah, I knew. I was a little scared when we went with the hard tires, so I just kind of bided my time where the traction was on the bottom there for a while till they got some heat in them. Once they got some heat in them, I could pretty much go wherever I needed to go.
It's amazing watching this car run both the top and the bottom, because once you got up front, you stayed up top.
Yeah, I knew once I got up to the lead, I seen how hard it was, even as good as I was on the bottom to pass Lee, and I knew that's where the place to be when the car was working good. And this Dale LeBaron, I got to thank him. He's the car owner of this thing and lets me come here and do what I want to do. He's home working, trying to pay for everything, and he let me come play tonight. So if it was for Dale and Toots Creek Auto Parts, I couldn't do this.
Nice payoff for John Waters, winning the first Go Nuclear Late Model Series race of 2016.
Yeah. Well, that's the kind of car owner I want. Stays home, lets me go have fun while he's making money. Let's look back and see how we got to where we were today. Here's the start of the race.
Jason Knowles jumped out in front, seemed to have a very good car for the first about third of the race, but then got run over in a hurry. Lee Gill, we thought the car was going to spin out on the top of the 125, but he got the lead, and then everybody else pounced on the 4, losing a little bit of momentum. You see Bryce Davis up on the top of the 94, but John Waters makes a critical move here as well to stay right in the mix. Phil Potts came by as well, as you saw Knowles go back to 4th, or 5th actually. He would fall as far back as 11th before bringing out a caution. And then it seemed like the rest of the race, Doug, we had a battle for second, side by side. Just some great racing as John Waters would finally get second this lap by. Bryce Davis missed his mark a little bit. The 11 got up to spot number 2, and then on lap number 14 goes after Lee Gill for the race lead when Gill made an issue going into turn number 3. And again, I was shocked to see how Waters knew he could make a slide job and make it stick here.
Yeah, because you don't have much time to think before doing a slide job, and this was a close one, though, out of turn number. About as close as you want to get right there.
And a little trust being put up there as well. Gill tried to fight back, but you see Waters had enough momentum to drive back down to the inside, get out in front, and stay there over the second half of the race.
I thought that was the key move right there, to be honest with you. I
Yeah,
thought that was it.
Exactly. Now here we are late in the race. A couple drivers battling it out for the second, third, and fourth spot. Sam Panaccio really started to get something figured out. Got to the inside to get by Lee Gill for third. Went after Bryce Davis for second, but not enough as Waters would score the win.
Our runner-up finisher is down in victory lane. Let's check in with Paul.
Second place finisher tonight, Bryce Davis. That wasn't as much of a race as it was a war out there.
Yeah, it was. The track was real slick. It was tough to get a hold of. We were just a tick off the pace of John. He was real good tonight. Congratulations to him. We're happy with second, though.
Yeah, Panaccio gave you a run there. He was actually ahead of you one time on the final lap.
He was. I saw him peek down there a few times, and I messed up getting into 1 that last lap, and he pulled us down the back stretch, and I was hoping we could stick it coming out of 4, and we did.
Congratulations on a second place run tonight, man.
Thank you.
Bryce Davis, your runner-up finisher tonight.
Did a real nice job, too. Just came a little bit short there at the end. Got to wonder what would have happened, like we said, if that last caution flag wouldn't have waved. There's Panaccio. Great run for him in third. Charlie Sandercock, like we said, up to 5th there. And how about Brandon Moat? 7th place for him.
Solid. We saw him finish second late in the season last year at Weedsport. He's really starting to come on. And Chris Fleming, sophomore season, expecting a lot out of the Auburn, New York driver. Even though he started 16th, came home in 9th.
Laszlo Holyfield rounded out the top 10. Good run for him as well. Brandon Ford involved in a caution. Aaron Jacobs doesn't get the magic this time, still ends up 15th.
Yeah, some of these drivers with tough nights. We talked about Jason Knowles getting back out there to finish in 12th, but what could have been for the driver of the number 4.
That's true, and that's one of those deals. You don't know exactly what happened. We don't at this point. Alan Fink and Kyle Sopaz round things out here. 7 caution, 3 leaders, and the margin of victory 1.33 seconds. Paul Small is with our 3rd place finisher here today.
Oh, he's a first-time visitor tonight at Utica-Rome. Sam Panaccio, man, you were a rocket tonight.
Yeah, I found that bottom line there, learned a couple of things from Lee Gill and that, and away I went, just stuck there and held it.
Looked like on the next to last restart, you got backed up a few spots, then you came roaring right back.
Yeah, I made a couple of mistakes, rookie moves. I'm still learning, but yeah, once I found the line there, I set my sights on the front and kept going.
First-time visit. I think safe to say you like this place.
Yeah, this first-time visit last year at Oswego, finished 3rd. First time here. I mean, I'm ecstatic. Couldn't be happier.
Sam Panaccio, your 3rd place finisher tonight at Utica-Rome.
So how impressed are you with Sam Panaccio, rookie, and at a track that a lot of people don't do well at their first time? He gets a podium finish.
Yeah, a nice run. He's really starting to figure out these cars fast to get in the top 3. Upcoming events for the Atomic Power Racing Hour, a special Saturday night weekly action show from the Genesee Speedway coming up in the early July, and then 2 Go Nuclear races. Cornwall at the end of July, and a special event from Ohsweken in August.
Good night. We had a great time. So glad you were able to be with us. What a night it was at Utica-Rome Speedway.